What's going on, my 1200 chess players? I got a game here between myself and another 1200. So I start the game with e4, plays b6. So now I'm thinking, I'm like, knight c3, d3, bishop e3. Yeah, it's a pretty good setup. Queen e2. Like, I don't really know what I'm playing here, but it looks like solid. I don't think I'm gonna lose. The guy goes knight c6. I'm like, what's he doing? He's pushing his pawns on his queen side, not developing his king side. Then I play c4. I'm gonna aim for like more space or something. So that's like the general idea. So I'm just like getting my pieces out, just like chilling, waiting for him to move. Now I'm probably thinking I'm gonna go bishop e2, knight f3, maybe try and get the rook to e1. I'm not really sure what I want to do here. He plays knight b4. Now I'm thinking like, do I want to go a3 or king b1? Like, is that knight b4 move, is it like dangerous or is there any venom associated? I go a3, I just kick it back. Now he's just got to go back to c6. And now I'm thinking like, how do I want to attack my opponent? Like, my bishop and my knight on my king side is not developed. I go g3 here. I kind of want to like open up the long diagonal for light squares. So if something happens on e4 where I push it or pawns get exchanged, then like maybe I have some tactical ideas going on. My opponent goes b5. I'm like, okay, I see he's lining up his rook with my king, so he wants to open up some tactical ideas of his own. I go knight e2, develop my knight, just get it out to like random square. My opponent goes knight f6, and now I'm like, okay, how do I make progress? This is where you start thinking in the middle game. This is why it's like, I guess, tough for beginners to decide like how they want to press forward. I'm taking a lot of time here. I'm like rookie one. What do I want to do? How do I want to attack? So my opponent plays knight g4, targeting my h2 pawn. Now, do I want, like, what do I want to do here? Do I want to sack my h2 pawn? Do I want to play f5? Do I want to go for some crazy knight b5 sacrifice? So he takes my bishop on e3. I was willing to give that up just to trade. Now I'm really put to a decision here because after a takes b4, c takes b4, kicks my knight, but then the file for the rook on c8 opens up against my king, and then if he plays queen c7, then like there's mating ideas for black potentially. I can't really see that far ahead, and the pawn will be on b4. He gets b3 in, bishop a3, maybe some bishop sacrifice. I'm not really sure for him. Though he's not castled, so I might have some counterplay to strike in the center to like try and create chaos. So I take the pawn on b4. And then I think he takes back. He takes back, and now I'm thinking like, what do I want to do? I'm eyeing the b6 square. I'm thinking maybe knight b6, but then I don't know what to do after he plays rook b8. So we just have to see what he does here. I'm thinking king b1 too, just to get my king off the file. Now he goes knight a7, opening up the file for his rook, but that's just a free knight, I think. So I just take it, and his bishop is under attack. So I think he plays queen c7 here. He's eyeing the c2 square to try and like mate me. Time situation is pretty good. I got 2 minutes 43 on the clock. He's got 3 minutes. So he plays queen c7. Now, the knight on a4 is like not really doing much. It's almost kind of trapped. So now I'm thinking like, how do I want to press forward? Okay, I got to defend the mate threat, of course. Don't want to get mated on c2. There's so many different ideas, like you could just forget about like your opponent's threats and get mated. So now I can't take that pawn because of the pin to my king. Now I think I'm gonna play knight d4 here just to defend the c2 square and threaten to capture the pawn on b3. That was the idea with knight d4. Now my opponent, I think he should probably just give up on this attack, play bishop e7, castle kingside or something. Oh, so he does play bishop e7. Um, now it's unclear how white progresses. I just take the pawn, and even though white's up a piece, the two knights are kind of on the wrong side of the board to open up the center to attack the king. So he does castle kingside, and now what do I do? The queen's kind of all on the wrong side of the board. I think I play queen e3. Queen e3 seems like a decent move. Or queen f2. I kind of want to bring the rooks over the king side and start pushing the h pawn, but I don't want him to lock the pawns. So I don't want him to allow g6 if I ever get h6 in. He plays bishop c6, attack my knight. I bring that back in front of my king. Knight c3. So he plays queen b7. Not really sure what that move does. I guess it just puts pressure on the long diagonal, and my bishop was only defended by the rook. Now, I'm not sure if this is a mistake. This is a pretty like tense situation. F5 here loses a pawn, and I can't recapture it that I thought because the bishop just takes my bishop because it's attacked twice, only defended once. I press h4 here, and he goes rook c8, and then I'm like, okay, I'm low on time. I got a minute left. I'm gonna play f5. It's a pawn sacrifice. I'm gonna recapture with my pawn. He's gonna take back with his pawn, but I can take his bishop. So we'll just wait here. So I'm thinking about it, capture the pawn, he's going to capture my bishop, then I capture his bishop, and then what's my threat here? In the game, I didn't really know what to do. I think now f6 is pretty obvious. Just want to trade the pawns and open up the files for the rooks, maybe try to get the knight in somehow. But those knights are kind of like on the side. So I think f6 was really strong of a move. Uh, he either captures and then I try and like crack open the G and H file, but he plays G6. I bring the queen back to E3, and he can't bring the rook to E8 because then he'll get mated. Then have queen H6 targeting mate in 1, so I really got the initiative on him this game, and it looks like he's out of moves. And black just gives up here, just in a moment. So that was the game, and I'll see you in the next video.